Welcome, everybody, to the Gives in the Bank Recruiting Podcast, brought to you by BuckeyesScoop.com. I am Marc Givler, joined as always by Bill Greene. This is the Wednesday, November 25th edition, and we do have a third with us today. Alex Gleitman's joining us as well. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. We're going to give a brief rundown here. We got some 2022 stuff to talk about. First and foremost, obviously, Quinn Ewers in the bag now. We see that get followed up by Caleb Burton the other night. So two huge commitments out of Texas. Alex, just your thoughts on this, what this means for Ohio State's 2022 class, getting someone like Ewers, still very early in the process with a year to recruit other guys.
I mean, it's massive. Obviously, they got to be able to hold on to him. I think, the kid was pretty well thought out. I mean, I don't think he's the type of kid who, I'm going to commit to Texas, now I'm going to commit to Ohio State, now I'm going to commit somewhere else. I think there was a rhyme and reason behind everything. But, you never know, a kid who grew up a Texas fan, if Tom Herman is replaced by someone who they feel really good about and he has the opportunity to go in there and start as a freshman, maybe that is an opportunity he looks at again. But I think, it was a big get for Ohio State. I think he was their number one guy the whole way. They never really, Mark, you and I talked about this a few weeks ago. They never really went to anyone else. They never really had their guy after Ewers committed to Texas. I think they always felt that, especially with the Herman situation up in the air, that was someone that they could get back in on. And they were with Kyle McCord and CJ Stroud and Jack Miller already in the hopper. I think they felt pretty good about being able to wait a little bit. So that's a huge pickup. He's a game-changing type of recruit. I would caution fans not to just automatically place him over Kyle McCord. I think Kyle's a pretty damn good player, and I think he's got a chance to be the starter at Ohio State before Quinn does. But that's a huge pickup, getting the number one guy on your board, and I think he's a leader for this 2022 class. You saw Caleb Burton follow suit. I think Caleb really liked Ohio State and really had a great relationship with Brian Hartline and might have been a Buckeye at some point, but I think this accelerated things. I think maybe this is what pushed him over the edge. So, getting Quinn is only going to help get other playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. You want that quarterback being a leader in the class early, and I think they have that. And then when you look at Caleb Burton, I mean, he missed most of this year due to injury, so we don't have the junior film, but I turned on the sophomore film, and to me, when I was watching it, I was saying, this kid looks like Garrett Wilson to me. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Garrett or anything like that. I mean, that's pretty lofty praise. But when I was watching it, he reminded me of Garrett Wilson. And I said the same thing. I checked with someone inside the Woody. I said, does this kid remind you of Garrett Wilson? Because I'm watching the film. And they said, yep, absolutely. And so I think that's the type of player you're getting in Caleb Burton. He's versatile. He's got great hands. He can high point the ball, track it really well downfield. He's got breakaway speed. I think he's got to get bigger, be able to block on the outside, break some tackles at the next level. But, he's ranked at various services. I think the 24/7 composite has him as a 5-star and maybe like around top 10 in the country. And that's the type of player I think you're getting, a guy who's going to step in year one, fits right in with the guys they recruited last year, the guys they're recruiting this year. Brian Hartline, Ryan Day doing a tremendous job on that side of the ball. And to be able to go down to Texas, I mean, that's just the cherry on top and take the two top players in the state.
And Bill, there's been, it's weird that you land a guy like Ewers and there's some fans who are like, well, what does that mean for the quarterback room and transferring and the portal and everything else? I mean, people are getting ahead of themselves. I mean, Bill, how do you look at this quarterback situation now with, they got the two highly ranked freshmen who we haven't really seen much of yet. You got Kyle McCord set to enroll in January. And then you have Quinn Ewers in 22. Are people getting too far ahead of themselves? I mean, what do you think? What do you make of the quarterback room right now? And what should Ohio State fans be feeling right now?
Well, they should be feeling ecstatic, number one. And if somebody transfers, you usually don't see a that's headed to be an All-American transfer. So if someone does transfer out of those four guys, and someone will, absolutely, it's probably going to be the fourth string guy. So, the starter's not going to transfer. The guy that's headed to be an NFL super, he's not transferring. So you collect as many great quarterbacks as you can, as many great receivers as you can, linebackers, That's the goal, and you don't worry about who might leave. You worry about who you throw out there in the field this Saturday to help you. That would be irrelevant to me. The two best will absolutely stay, and the four guys going to leave, and three might leave, and you go get another one in 2023 like they have. I like everything Alex just said. There's not much I can add other than when I saw Burton, I kind of saw Smith and Jigba there, but I can see the Garrett Wilson. And when you're comparing dudes to those guys, he's a heck of a player. The thing I would add that, when I looked at this stuff, 2017, Ohio State has now landed 7 5-star kids out of Texas. And in that time period, Texas has landed 4. I mean, and that is you talk about an indictment of Tom Herman. I don't know one than that. I mean, so for Ohio to walk in there from 1,500 miles away and get double the 5 stars that you're getting out of your own state, I mean, that's bad for Texas. It's great for Ohio State. So what's going on right now with 2022 is, it's really sick. And it could be a lot of, Twitter having fun, but I don't look at it that way with Burton. I thought they were getting him all along, no matter. Ewers concerns me because Texas was where he always wanted to be. Texas is where he grew up wanting to play for. And Texas is a mess right now. But if Texas can solidify that mess somehow and turn it into does Ewers take another look at them? Because like Alex said, he was probably going to start for them as a freshman. So, and at Ohio State, man, he's in a crowded room. So we'll see. But, collecting talent, it's like real life. Possession's 90% of the law. So I'll take the commitment and try to hold on to him far more than I want to try to flip him from someone else. So you gotta rejoice with these commitments. I mean, these guys are as good as it gets in their class at their respective positions.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at the quarterback room is you don't get caught up too much in who transfers, if anyone does eventually, which it seems eventually like someone would. I mean, even if you sign 5, 3-star quarterbacks, one of them is going to transfer. It's not even so much the talent, it's just the reality of the quarterback position. But what landing 4 guys of this caliber does is it essentially guarantees you're going to have good quarterback play the next 4 years, whether it's Ewers, McCord, Stroud, whoever wins the battles. It doesn't really matter. You're going to have to be one hell of a player to win that competition. So, on your end, if you're Ohio State, we are going to have good quarterback play the next 4 or 5 years. You just know that because the cream's going to rise to the top, and you try and keep everyone happy to the best you can. But, ultimately, as long as your quarterback is good, if you lose a good one somewhere else, it happens, whatever. But as long as you are getting good quarterback play, that should be all that matters. And quite frankly, it's going to be hard to envision them not getting good quarterback play with what they have here right now. So definitely big news. I mean, Bill, throws back to you here. You covered Terrell Pryor. You covered a lot of highly ranked guys over the years. How big is this Ewers? Is this a generational guy, or is this more of a I don't want to say run of the mill 5-star, but is this kind of one of those kind of special, unique Terrell Pryor type of guys who can really kind of change, take a great program into the stratosphere?
Yeah, I hate to put that on that kid. I mean, he's 16 years old, and I think what Alex said makes a lot of sense. This takes all the attention off Kyle McCord, and I don't know why, because I love Kyle McCord's film. Let Ewers, my God, he's a child still. What I see is pretty darn special. I mean, real special. But I feel that way about McCord too, and I feel that way about Stroud. So, is generational? Is it Trevor Lawrence? Man, that's something you would really look at when the All-Star game's completed his senior year, the full body work's in. Then you can look at Quinn Ewers and think, where does he rank in terms of Terrell Pryor, Trevor Lawrence? I don't think right now is the time to do it. I think right now you can suffice to say that they got the best quarterback prospect in 2022, and that's certainly a heck of a good spot to be in.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good time to throw out there. Kyle McCord just threw 6 touchdown passes in a state semifinal game last weekend, and is playing for his 3rd straight state championship this coming weekend. So he's not bad. So, and for the record, I kind of mentioned this, I alluded to this on Twitter. I'm just going to say it a little more bluntly now. Not the least bit concerned what Ohio State's recruiting behind him right now. He's going to enroll early in January, which historically has not been allowed at St. Joe's Prep. He was very adamant though that he was going to do that, and they've given him the leash to do that. So he'll be on campus in January, and I can promise you from talking to him, his focus is that job's going to be open. I don't think we're, spoiler alert, Justin Fields is not going to be back next year. That's going to be an open quarterback competition. And his mindset right now is that he is coming into an open quarterback competition in January. So that, for everyone concerned about that, I think that's kind of nonsense at this point. I don't think he's too worried about that. Alex, we've already seen Caleb Burton jump in on the heels of the Ewers commitment. How much do you think this impacts what they can do at receiver in 2022? I mean, you already have Brian Hartline doing the recruiting, which is a great thing to have if you're Ohio State. But on top of that, you now have Quinn Ewers as the quarterback in the class. What possibilities could this open in 22 at receiver? And there is a name in Texas right now we're all kind of hearing about, and I know you're hearing about. Where does that stand? Kind of talk us through some of this receiver stuff.
Yeah, the opportunities are endless. I mean, you got Brian Hartline, who knows how to connect with these younger guys really, really well. B, you talk about having done it, walking the walk and talking the talk. I mean, Brian Hartline has sat where these kids have sat. He's gone to Ohio State. He's developed into a receiver. He's played in the NFL. He's cashed in millions of dollars. Now he's back at Ohio State, really because he loves the game of football and he loves the Ohio State Buckeyes. And so, having a guy like that recruiting you with Ryan Day and his offensive mind and his system and how receivers have produced the last few years under his kind of purview, couple that with having, CJ Stroud, Jack Miller, Kyle McCord, and now Quinn Ewers possibly throwing you the ball, why wouldn't you want to go to Ohio State? If I'm a high school receiver, I'm looking at Ohio State, I'm looking at Oklahoma, and I'm probably looking at Clemson. I got to throw Alabama into the mix. They're putting NFL guys every single year, especially the way they've kind of turned over that offense. So those four programs, which again, spoiler alert, are probably going to be up for the college football playoff every year as well. How do you not look at those programs? And so, you got Caleb Burton in the hopper. We're talking about no surprise here. You look at the crystal balls, whatever. We've talked about him a little bit on the scoop. Armani Winfield, another wide receiver from Texas, might get out of the grips of Tom Herman and Jimbo Fisher and those guys down there. And he's looking like a pretty heavy Ohio State lean. We got a guy in Arizona, Keon Grace, who's currently committed to the Wildcats, but I think of Arizona, I think that he is someone that Ohio State really likes, and they have a great chance to land. We'll touch on him in a little bit, I believe, here on the show. But I think those are three guys right there, and they could just call it a day. But there's a number of other highly ranked receivers across the country that we're already looking at Ohio State, and now with Quinn Ewers in the hopper, I think it just makes it even that much more attractive.
Yeah, that was kind of our next thing here. We're going to go, I think each of us have some 2022 prospect we're going to talk about here a little bit. Let's start with Bill actually on that. Bill, you've got a 5-star defensive back update. Kind of what are you hearing there, and kind of let us know who we're talking about here and what you're hearing.
Yeah, the Singletary kid is really special, DB. Ohio State's in that for sure, along with Clemson. I just think right now, Florida in a great spot for him. And I think, if I had to make a pick today of where he would sign, I would choose Florida. Now, there's a long way to go on this. And Kerry Combs, we've seen him work magic before. He can steal people from Clemson. You can take a guy from Clemson. You can take a guy from Florida. So wouldn't give up on him, wouldn't say it's a no chance, but right now I think Florida's in the command position there.
Yeah, and Jaheim was a guy that I think people got a little bit excited about a couple weeks ago. He was getting caught up in some of the Twitter stuff. They offered him a little bit late. Not that it really matters at this stage because he's not like anyone's visiting right now, but they offered him a little bit late, and people are anticipating they will get involved there more heavily. We'll see what happens. I know Florida obviously is having a very good season right now. So, it is interesting with Florida. I maybe throw this back to you here, Bill. What are you hearing about just the state of Florida in general right now? Because we went through a time period there for a few years where Florida State, Miami, and Florida were all down. And now Florida State's still a mess, but Florida's having a really good season. Miami's much more competitive now. What do you anticipate, the state of Florida looking like the next few years in terms of a school like Ohio State trying to pluck kids away from that state?
Well, I think it's wide open. Florida State, as you said, is a mess, and I think that's being kind. Miami's having a great year, but their recruiting I don't know if Miami can ever be Miami again. Those kids don't want to go there that live down there, and that's a killer for them. You can go back to the heyday of Miami when Howard Snellenberger turned it around, Jimmy Johnson, Butch Davis. I mentioned what they did is they recruited the state of Miami. It was a Broward and Dade thing. They kept those kids home. They can't keep them home right now. It's almost impossible for them when they look at the stadium, the facilities. It's their town. They want to get out. And so it's wide open. Now, Ohio State is kind of, I don't know, they're focusing so much on Texas right now. And my God, aren't they killing it there? And they've kind of wandered away from Florida a little bit, but the pickings are still good there for anyone, Bama, Clemson, whoever, because, Florida, the Gators are going to do well. FSU's a dumpster fire, and Miami just cannot get the top tier kids right now there. So I think the line is good for Ohio State there if they want to wander back in there. But my God, with the success they're having in Texas, you almost want to keep that momentum going.
Yep. And Alex, I know we mentioned this a couple minutes ago. Keon Gray's, call him a fast riser right now out of the state of Arizona, 2022 receiver, starting to get a lot of attention. Committed to Arizona, Ohio State very much involved there. Alex, what are you hearing there?
Yeah, well, Keon Graves is a kid that, when he got offered a month back or so, you look at him, he's committed to the University of Arizona, which is the bottom of the Pac-12 tier type of program right now. And you look at his ranking, he's a 3-star kid, and you think, okay, maybe this is an uncommittable offer. And then I wanted to write about him for ADEC. He was a kid who got an offer. I try to talk to all these kids who get offered from Ohio State and hear what they have to say about the program. And just like you guys would, I think, you hear from the kid that Ryan Day and Brian Hartline are the ones leading his recruitment. And it makes you perk up a little bit. I think, you would expect a kid like that. Oh, maybe it's a guy like Keenan Bailey or maybe it's, a quality control coach, or maybe it's, a Tim Hinton type guy just trying to reach out, build the initial relationship, get the kid to come to camp. But when Ryan Day and Brian Hartline are leading your recruitment, it makes you pay attention. And then you ask some people inside the Ohio State building, the Woody Hayes, what they think of this kid. And they think he is just, I don't want to say diamond in the rough, because I just think he's underevaluated right now. I think they think he is a 4-star type of talent, a kid who can absolutely play at Ohio State. You start to see some of the other offers come in, and it all makes sense. This is a kid, Mark, as you said, is a fast riser, and I think Ohio State wants him. They take him. I think, the plan is to make a visit whenever that can happen. But now with visits potentially being pushed back to April, maybe something happens before that. I think this kid, he's going to end up at Ohio State. I think they're his top choice right now. Things can change between now and whenever he's ready to decide. I mean, maybe Ohio State wants him to come in for the visit. Maybe he wants to come in for the visit. I think Arizona, though, was the pandemic's going on. It's close to home. I have a good relationship with Kevin Sumlin. I'm going to lock up my spot there. I know I'm good, close to my family. But I think with Ohio State, the relationship they're building with him, what they can offer him on the field, off the field, just everything across the board, I think they're going to be the pick for this kid at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely a guy who seems to be shooting up the recruiting board, at least at Ohio State. That's a guy that, again, as you pointed out, sometimes they throw these offers out to out-of-state kids, and, you're thinking, okay, they know who he is. They'll evaluate his film. They'll look at, but this was one where the offer seemed to come at the same time as they realized, yeah, we want this kid, and they offered him, kind of with that notion. So we'll see what happens there. That's obviously going to be one to watch moving forward. There's some buzz right now around 5-star defensive back Denver Harris out of North Shore High School, Houston, Texas area. I have some pretty good relationships with some of the coaches down there, just through other kids I've covered over the years. There is, I don't want to throw a wet blanket on this right now, but there is the sense that he is not close to a decision. So I think people were getting excited about the possibility that maybe Denver Harris could decide soon. That's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that's going to be a national battle. Nothing imminent there. But Ohio State, very high interest from the people I've talked to. And of course, Denver is saying that as well, but sometimes it's a little more important to get it from the other people than it is from the kid, because the kid's going to talk the schools up. But very interested in Ohio State. This was a kid who had, 30, 40 offers at one point and didn't have Ohio State yet. And I kept hearing from both Denver and from some of his coaches that this is the offer that, he was missing. This was the one that he needed to add, and not for the, recruiting rankings or the internet, hype or anything like that. This was a genuine offer that he wanted, and he got it. And we were going to find out the truth once he got the offer, if this was serious or not. And everything I've heard is that he's been taking this one very seriously. There has been lots of communication there with Ohio State. This is not a kid who, begged for the offer and then ran away when he got it and, committed to the local school. So going to be a national battle, both the Texas A&M, LSU, Alabama. This is going to be a fist fight, but definitely in it, but nothing there in terms of a decision yet or anything coming soon. This is going to be a kid who, if visits open up in April, we'll take some visits. But I think he would have visited in the past year. I've been told that as well, that he would have visited in the past year had he been able to. He doesn't want to come up from Houston and just look at the stadium and go home. He wants to actually be able to do the real visit experience. So I'm told to look for that to happen once things open up. So definitely some good news there, but again, let's not get too crazy on that yet. Nothing coming down the road just yet on that, but definitely a guy Ohio State's involved with and has a shot at. So I think we're going to wrap it up there. We wanted to kind of get you a good 20-30 minutes here on the eve of Thanksgiving, and many of you may be watching or listening to this on Thanksgiving, so just wanted to give you guys a quick update on things. We will have more on the website, of course. Check out everyone's stuff. Alex, once again, with the Grade A deck. Bill's chat's still going on. Even if you're listening to this on Thanksgiving, you can still jump in there. I'm sure Bill take a double back and answer any questions you may have for Bill. So we will be very busy here the rest of the week, still covering everything. Appreciate everyone listening, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.